Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this panel, where we want to discuss some of the leadership activities, the volunteer roles that have enabled the IMGs to differentiate themselves. Now, typically, most IMGs use the volunteer activities, extracurricular activities, that section as a filler. And what we've seen is most of them stop at cooking, music, dancing, and cricket or some of these things. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but you have to understand that these activities, that particular section can be used as a differentiator. You can use it to great effect during the interviews to discuss your interest. You can actually work on these activities that will help you during your residency career and obviously, get you closer to that evasive match. So what we are trying to do here today is some of the students who have applied this year and who have leveraged these kind of activities and leadership roles. So we'll discuss with them on what they've done, how they went about it, and of course how they managed to take time out of it. And you can decide for yourself if these things are useful for you as you prepare for your application. So let me start off with the introduction. So we have Naren Nalapeta. He's the former president of MSAI, the Medical Students Association of India. And he's an avid traveler. He's traveled the world. He's been associated with a lot of organizations and obviously helping students through MSAI. Then we have Zin. Zin is, very well known everywhere in Facebook and WhatsApp chats, and she has been also doing quite a bit of volunteer activities, leadership roles, helping students. So we'll ask her what she's been doing. And then we have Ravali, who's also an IMG and been involved in a lot of volunteer and leadership roles. So let me stop here and turn the mic over to Naren first, and then we'll go around the room. So Naren, do you want to tell us what you've done? What kind of volunteer activities have you chosen? Things like that.
Hi everyone, good morning, and I'm glad to be a part of this session, and definitely looking forward to helping students and who have in the path of getting the residency here to the US. I'm Naren. I'm from Bangalore, southern part of India. I'm pretty sure most of you know about it. And I also am an IMG, and I have applied to the internal medicine program this time for the residency. And I'm proud to say that I've been as active as I can in various regional, national, and international level volunteering activities. And to start off with, I would like to say that anything that you do is valued here, especially in terms of volunteering activities. Everything is valued. They want to see that you're a proactive and self-motivated person. Most of the interviewers have said that, which is very nice to get such a kind of a compliment. So just to go over what all I've done, it's quite a lot, but the one which I'm proud of is definitely MSAI, Medical Students Association of India. I started being a part of this in my final year probably. I started off as a local officer for public health and grew to become a state director for Karnataka for activities in Karnataka. And then just a brief about MSAI, Medical Students Association of India. It's a national member organization called NMO of the International Federation. The International Federation has 139 countries, out of which India is being represented by MSAI. And what the vision of IFMSA is basically to connect students worldwide, and the same works with MSAI, and also to help in community outreach programs as well as advocacy as medical students. So that's what I did, and like I said, from State Director of Karnataka, I was privileged enough to be elected as a treasurer, national treasurer, and then the president. So I worked as a MSAI president of the national member organization for 1 year. And during this time, I did a lot of work, and also I was awarded the Best Student Community Work by the Indian Medical Association, the IMA. That was in 2013. And after that, I grew to be a part of the representation at the United Nations conference in 2016, and this year I've been selected again as a part of the CPD, the Commission for Population and Development. And also I've been representing India and MSAI India in international general assemblies where 139 countries of the International Federation take part, and I was representing India, and we give the yearly report of what we did activities in India. So coming to the activities which I was able to do, I can mainly categorize this.
So let me go around the room and get the introductions, and then we'll go into specific activities. Okay, so if you can mute yourself, thank you. So Zin, tell us something about your kind of overall volunteer activities. Zin, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, all right. Hi, I'm Zin or Catherine. Anyhow you like. So I'm a medical graduate from Myanmar, Southeast Asia, next to India, if you know my country. So I was an average medical student without, a lot of volunteer activities, something like that. So I will tell you how to leverage volunteering activities from the daily small things that you can do out of your average medical school. So what you can do is in medical school from India, Pakistan, and Myanmar, we do a field trip to, the villages and small towns. So you do, free clinic and survey and health education. All of these look really, really impressive in the eyes of TV. So this is one thing you can do. The second thing is that apart from scores and your CV, they want to know that you are a good person, that you're a person who cares for your patients, also for your colleagues. So you can show that in volunteer activities. Like if you volunteer in maybe a nearby free clinic or like a nearby library, or maybe you take time to help out your students, or maybe you take time to help your junior medical students, or even free tutoring or even paid tutoring. You could tell them that and tell them that you care. And even though you're busy building your life, you never forget to care about other people. So these are small, tiny activities, right? Everybody tutor, everybody go to library, and then see, volunteering does not have to be dedicated a certain amount of time, because people tend to forget that you can do multiple things at a time. Like for a month, you could be primary care physician, or you could be you could be doing your internship 5 days a week, but on the weekends you could be volunteering. You could volunteer 6 hours a week, 8 hours a week, and then you could tell them about that. Like I was doing my primary care after graduation for 2 years, and during that time I volunteer at a local library as a public relations officer, and I help a lot of high school students prepare their college applications and everything. It's not something that is too big, but it's something that you could talk about in interviews, that you walk with students, get into schools, and even after coming here, you advise your fellow USMLE applicants to prepare your applications. It makes you look good as a potential mentor that a future resident can guide their medical students, and that can earn their medical students. They always want their medical students to look up to their residents, and they were so proud when one of their residents can actually impress one of their medical students. So these are the things that you could tell yourself. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go over to Rawali. Rawali, are you on?
Yes. Hi. Good morning.
Morning. So just tell us what particular activities did you do, and did you, focus on any particular organization, things like that?
So I got involved with NSS, which is National Service Scheme, in the beginning of my second year. One of our professors in our community medicine department, was involved in NSS. So this was my door that opened towards all my volunteering activities. And one thing that looks good in your residency application is sticking to one organization throughout the time rather than being scattered. So one thing that really helps me is having NSS consistently on my CV. Another thing that helped me is, like Zin said, showing that you care about your patients, that you care about the community, and that you realize all the problems that are going on in the community. So that having that background knowledge really helps during the interviews and really impresses the interviewer. How did I manage to devote my time? So most of my activities were during classes, during college hours. So one way I would manage time is by asking permission. And obviously when you're doing something good to the community, nobody will deny it. Also, like Zin said, during the weekend, during internship year, I would always go out to a village and help out over there. And this was most of them were through NSS. During my interviews, I met a lot of students who actually started their own NGO, which is a non-government organization. So that's also an option for many students.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Yep. No, that's great. That's great. Let's quickly go to Sridevi. Sridevi, are you on?
Hi, hi, Pawan. I'm not at my desk right now, but I can talk. So, good morning, everyone. I heard that people do introduce themselves, so just a brief introduction. I'm a medical graduate from India, from the southern state of Kerala. I graduated in 2015. And, just to cut to the chase regarding volunteer and leadership activities, right from medical school days, in first year, I had the opportunity of joining the college magazine editorial board. And by final year, I was the chief editor of the magazine editorial board. So that was a good talking point in at least 80% of my interviews, because they were like, okay, so what did you do as a chief editor? How did you handle it? How were the pressures and the deadlines, and how did you manage it? So I was able to talk about how I was able to gather a team, how you were able to work as a team, and how not only, you need to learn to do tasks yourself, you need to learn how to delegate tasks to others as well as coordinate with everyone, make sure the deadlines are met, make sure the commitments to your studies are not going down. So all that was done, and that is a good talking point that I had, the whole college magazine editorial board. The second one which I had was I was part, like Ravali mentioned, like NSS. In our state there is a big statewide organization called the ENCON Club, that is the Environment and Energy Conservation Club. So I was active in it during school, and I was able to introduce a chapter of it in my medical college as well. So that was actually mentioned in my dean's letter, which some people noticed, that I took the initiative to open the chapter in our college. So they were like, can we talk more about it? And so I mentioned that, okay, being in ENCON Club in school, we used to go to rallies about environment protection and energy conservation. And that's something I'm still passionate about, and that is what made me introduce it in our college. And now it's going strong. And in fact, the ENCON Club is now merged with NSS in our college to form a big, huge body with at least 50 students from each batch. So I was able to talk about that, what I did.
Oh, okay. So
regarding... Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Pawan.
No, I was, the next thing I want to focus on, because a lot of IMGs think, it takes a lot of time and they have to study for step 1, CK, things like that, get observerships under the belt. So how did all of you, and we'll start with you, Sridevi, give us some estimate, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, what kind of a time commitment does it mean?
So until this time I was talking about what I did during medical school, right? After coming to US, I did my step 1 in India, and then I came here for CS and CK. So once I came here, I asked my relatives, a couple of relatives who were here, like, how can I do some volunteering activities? So because I'm based in New York, there is a huge chain of hospitals here called Northwell Health. It's formerly called as North Shore LIJ. So one of my relatives told that, you should apply in these hospitals, and they will take you as a volunteer. And you will have to dedicate maximum 8 hours a week, which is doable. So I applied way beforehand the moment I came to US, and it took around 2 months for the whole paperwork to come through. So while I was studying for CS and CK, like Fridays and Saturdays, like 3 hours, and then maybe Monday or Tuesday 2 hours, and I was able to complete the 8 hours per week schedule in between studying.
Okay.
So that is how I managed over here in US. Yeah.
So Zin, what about you? Because you've been very busy throughout your masters, other things going on. So how much time were you able to take out for volunteering?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, right. So volunteering for a week, volunteer is like 6 hours to 7 hours is enough. So what I did was most of my volunteering was before I come here. So before I come here, so what I did was in Saturday and Sunday I go 3 hours at a time and then just spend time in the library, and I enjoy hanging out with college students and high school students. So that's what I did when I was doing my step studies. But after I come here, I was pretty busy, so I couldn't do anything physically. So what I did was I do online consultation, like anybody who will come and ask me, on WhatsApp and Facebook, and then I give them advising. I mean, it's not something that is like words, talking big or anything, but then it's something that you enjoy doing. It's something like your leisure, But I know a lot of IMGs are not so busy as me. So what you can do is walk into any hospital in the United States, and they have volunteer. Every hospital needs volunteers. So you could be translators, you could be receptionists, or you could be some other position. I'm not sure. Oh, I think it's transportation. So this is actually your good chance to walk into a hospital. Always remember that observerships or extension or internship is not the only way that you can walk into a hospital or you can meet doctors. You can always walk in as a volunteer, and they would love to take you because high school student volunteer, college student need volunteers. And this way you meet doctors, and if any doctor keeps seeing you for a week or for a month in a row, if you ask them, can I shadow with you, can I observe you, that could easily be a yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So, Pawan, if I can, I'd like to add on to that, actually, because I had tried for both volunteering over here, which worked, for Nozzle Health, and that was like just to help the case manager in seeing patients and arranging patient packets for others. But, the break I got in Stony Brook was only through volunteering, because initially I cleared the interview for the research department, but there was no way they could take me in without a J1 research. And I didn't want to commit myself to a J1 research because that is going to be a 1-year commitment and all the visa issues. So what they did was I came in as a volunteer. I filled out all the paperwork, the physicals and everything. And after a couple of days of volunteering, the research department kind of, they went and talked to the volunteer department and totally transferred me to their department. So what started out, my only intention at Stony Brook was initially volunteering because I had no hope of getting into research. But again, this is something you can work out, like Zin mentioned, and it's worked out very well for me. So I guess, you just have to go in and try, but you have to make the first step. So
yeah, exactly. Yes.
So now let's move on to some of the very specific things which other students would like to know. So I want to start off with Naren now. So what type of questions were they asking you about your volunteer activities? What level of detail did they go in? And do you think you were able to engage the interviewer? I mean, was he really or she, were they kind of impressed, interested in what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And first of all, I would like to congratulate everybody else who's been doing amazing things at different levels. And yeah, definitely, yes, I 100% believe that in my case, it really helped me in my application, from application to getting my interviews to being engaged in the interview. Especially like some of my interviews were like, oh, so we have to cut, like the time has run out, so we have to stop right here. Like some of them were like very disappointed that they have to stop right, and like the conversation was going so well. So I think not only does it help you to talk in interviews, but overall, like it made me what I am today, to be honest. And to add a few things about what they specifically asked and how interactions went. I can talk about one of my interviews wherein the associate program director was interviewing me, and she said she's done a lot of volunteering and advocate of health and healthcare, and so this was in Florida, and she was like saying that I've tried to motivate my students to get into this, and this Tallahassee where conferences go on, medical students and residents, they can put in their inputs, but nobody does it, and there's no, we're looking for such people. So that's somewhere, it really helps out that way. And she also asked me if because like somebody mentioned earlier, writing articles for magazines, which is a simplest thing that you can do. It can be a local magazine, a national magazine, as simple as that. Starting from there, if you that is advocacy. Like you're standing for some cause. That's what they want to see. Mm-hmm. You're committed and you're self-motivated to stand for a cause. They can see that. And she said, if we want to open a magazine of our own, will you be willing to take it? So that was a very good point in many of my interviews that I came out with. And like just a magazine for the residents' well-being, and it can be as simple as sharing your experiences. And in another place, they asked, like my United Nations experience, almost everywhere they asked me about it. But there was one chief resident who sat down and spoke to me for 10 minutes from the day I applied, how I got into it, because he was very interested in doing something like that. So that, and then another place they asked about health system, U.S. health system, and health systems across the world. Since I have had the experience of talking to students around the world, they wanted to know how it's different in other countries and how they can incorporate those things in. So that, and then basically they want to know that you're human beings. They know that you can do things. They know your scores. So they want to know that you have a soul. You care for people, and you can actually make a difference in your own way. So I never started off being the president. So I started off at a local level, working with people, like many of them mentioned, working in hospitals across your state or your village or wherever you are staying. Starting from there to you get opportunities once you get into it, when you start looking for those things, and the time is seriously, it's up to you how much time you want to spend. Like volunteering is all about that. Nobody kind of has a mandate that every day you have to give this much time. It doesn't matter. It's how much time you can spend, and weekends are fine, or your free time is fine. Whenever you get time, you can do a lot of things, which I think it makes a difference definitely in your application. So
thank you. So, let me go to Ravali. And so Ravali, what did you have specific questions around it? Were you able to engage the interviewer? What level of detail did you guys discuss?
So in some interviews, but not all of them, they did want to know more about my volunteering activities. So they would go into detail. For example, the city my college was in is known for a high population of HIV patients. So they wanted to know more about that, what the government is doing about it, and how we help spread awareness about HIV and how to prevent HIV. And whereas I'm able to engage the interviewer, so when you do volunteering activities, when you help out the community, you kind of develop a passion to help the community for a better health. So one way, so you kind of develop as a person, when you talk about it, you seem really enthusiastic, and that is what really engages the interviewer. Whatever volunteering activity it is, you have to look enthusiastic, you have to look like you really have a passion for it. And when you do that, you automatically engage the interviewer. They didn't go into much detail about it because it's all community work, hands-on, so they were already very much impressed about it, bedazzled by it, so much detail was not asked for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Zin, let me come back to you. And what I mean, are these skills only limited to the interview, or did you get something out of these that you can find useful in the residency or becoming a better professional? Do these volunteer activities, that they help you become a better human, as Naren said, better professional, that you can leverage maybe in your residency, post-residency, things like that? Or is it just limited to the interviewing?
No. It's not like that. So if you ask me, there are two different types of INGs. Okay, the first type is they're like born and raised in a USMLE family, that they know that the first day that they walk into medical school, they will do USMLE, and they have been doing steps, and they have been preparing throughout the medical school. And then as soon as they graduate, they apply, so they have less time to do such kind of extracurricular activities. If they do, then they have little, achievement or success because they don't have time at all. So this is the one type. And another type is that they prepare USMLE in their final years of medical school, or like after medical school, like me. Then we have a big gap at 2-4 years after graduation. Then we have this time to be successful. So you need to know what type of person you are. And then if you are like a young ING, then a small amount of volunteer activity is fine, just to know a little bit of just to tell them a little bit about you, that you care and you are smart and you have some leadership skills outside this USMLE course. Everything they will take you. This is set. But if you have a gap of year of graduation, then it's, other than doing masters or research or observations or anything like that, you need to show something solid that you are achieving. You have not been wasting time sitting around in your couch for 4 years. So So for my interviews, I have a lot of stuff going on. I have master's, teaching, research, and then observership, and most of my questions, they kind of touch on every item, like how is your master, how is your research, how is your teaching, everything, but they never dig really into any detail because they don't have enough time for it. In terms of what are the learnings and achievements that you can be useful in residency, first thing is that volunteering makes you mature and makes you humble, that a proud person, a person who walks out of medical school and thinks I'm the most outstanding person in the world, can never volunteer. And we all have that kind of mentality when we walk out of medical school. So volunteering helps you see that there are so many people that need your help and you're not the best in the world. So it fixes your mentality and it helps you show off. It prepares you to be the resident they want to hire in interviews, because they are looking for that kind of thing to see in you. And, teaching and communicating with people, these are the things that you learn. And also you get connections out of your extracurricular activities. And finally is that you learn different problem solving skills, like, people don't come for appointment, how would you manage that? Or like the organization you founded just fall apart, then how do you do that? Or how do you go to government offices and do paperwork, stuff like that? It helps you mature, and everything that you can learn shows in your 15-minute interview. They can talk to a person for 10 minutes, and they know how much you have gone through in life and what kind of person you are. You are like a kid just got out of medical school and still arrogant, or you have learned a lot and you are beaten a lot by life, and you have risen out of life. So this kind of maturity is what they're looking for. And it helps.
Thank you. Ravali, you had a point. I think you raised a hand.
Yes. So one more thing I wanted to add, how will volunteering help you for residency? A lot of the programs that I got invited to were serving underserved populations, the disadvantaged population. So the residency programs really want someone who already has experience with that kind of population, who has this passion to help. So this is where my volunteering activities really helped me in my interviews. It showed me as a better fit for their program.
Okay, excellent. Now let's go to the final kind of tips for IMGs who may be preparing for next year's match, or in a couple of years. So I want to start with Sridevi. So Sridevi, if you're still on, what kind
I am on here.
Let's start with the reverse. What kind of outcomes are important? As in, I understand volunteering activities are important. It makes you a better human. But in the end, the immediate priority of an IMG is to match, right?
Absolutely.
So Zin pointed out some outcomes. It helps you with problem-solving skills. It, makes you a mature human. What other outcomes do you think the IMGs should set for themselves? What do they want to learn kind of things as they get into these volunteer activities? Should they start with some outcomes in mind, or they should take it
honestly, outcome-oriented approach is going to be a little bit, problematic, because in most cases you really have to prove yourself before, you can have a demonstrated outcome. That is mainly, I think the only extracurriculars you can do in the US which has a possibility of a documented outcome is research, because you can have posters and papers and all that. But otherwise, I think in volunteering and other activities that I've gone through, I think the maximum thing you can gather is honing your communication skills, gathering the experience, and being able to take away lessons from it. Because in most of my interviews, they did pick on my US volunteering experience more than my India volunteering experience. And they were like, how did you manage to get into that place, and what was your specific role? Who were you supervised under, and what kind of population did you talk to? And I think another outcome that you can do is I was able to not brush up, I was able to learn Spanish a little bit, just a little bit. But that is something new I have learned over my volunteering efforts, because again, as Ravali mentioned, I was volunteering in a population which is medically underserved. It was highly populous, being New York, but it was medically underserved. So a lot of Spanish-speaking, Russian-speaking population were there. And so the case manager and the doctors, they used to teach me like basic medical Spanish in order to interact with them and their families. So I was able to tell them, like, when they asked me, like, what are your takeaways? I used to tell them that, okay, I have managed to learn a little bit of Spanish. I now know how to get along with many nurses, case managers, doctors, and be involved in patients' decision making. And the outcomes and again, another outcome, I think in my last interview, they specifically asked me, can you tell me a particular case you saw or managed during your volunteership that really influenced you, or in which you were able to make a specific difference? He just wanted to know if my role was significant enough, I guess. So, so I mentioned about a patient we had, like, he had a pituitary adenoma and all that, and he was going through marital discord because of his, to be very honest, his sexual dysfunction. So there was a lot of friction in the family, and because the case manager asked me if I want to discuss with the family, and they were thankfully English-speaking families, so I went and discussed with them and said that, see, this is what is being expected, and this is what we are going to do for him, and this is why it's because his hormones are in a wreck that he's behaving this way. It's not deliberate or intentional, and they were finally able to grasp what was happening. 2 weeks later, when they were discharged, the wife of the subject came back to me and said, thank you so much for talking to us. I feel ashamed that I made my husband go through such stuff, but I promise I'll take care of him better again. So that was honestly a good feeling that you had, at least you made some difference. So when I told this to the interviewer, he's like, you did a good job. That is exactly what we expect our residents to do, to sit down and talk. So I think that made an impact with him. So he went into that specificities.
Okay, thank you.
And regarding what like prospective people who are aspiring for residency can do, I think once you come to US, your time is pretty limited. Already you're only on B1, B2 visas unless you're not on other visas. So they should definitely try to get into some hospitals and enroll as a volunteer. Because once you enroll as a volunteer, you have 3 options. Continue as a volunteer, get into a research department, or secure an observership or a hands-on. So this is one thing you can do once you come here, and it can be easily managed according to studies, because once you have it in the back of your mind that, okay, Friday and Saturday I have to go and do my volunteer stuff, the pace of your study automatically quickens up. That's what happened to me. Because that you're not going to be sitting at home 24/7 and studying. That, okay, half day of Friday and Saturday is going to be gone, so you kind of structure your studies accordingly, and frankly I think the pace kind of improved. So
all right.
I think it's a win-win situation. You just need to know when to stop and when to not take a load before the exam, and after your exam, like, you can devote like 4 or 5 days a week to your volunteership or research or whatever that can be done.
Okay. Now, so this was great. This is, you spoke about the U.S. kind of coming to U.S. and doing it. I want to go back to Naren and then to Zen. So Naren, when IMGs get started, like in the college, obviously we'll say first year, but what is the ideal kind of time when you think they should get started? And are any organizations better than the other to get started if they have to start in their home country?
Thank you again, Pavan, sir. So yeah, that's a very important thing that I wanted to, that's my main outcome that I want to talk about here, is to start early and start small. You don't need to start off as a big project that you want to do for like thousands of people. I think Zin was mentioning earlier, or others were mentioning earlier, that you have to start small, and once you get the experience, you can go ahead. So just to give an example, to start small, I would say I was in my third year, I think. We just took up this project called hand hygiene, hi-fi hand hygiene project. What we did was we went not even half a day, 3 hours, went to the OBG, wards and the pediatric wards. And since it was a rural tertiary care center, they had very little, information about hand hygiene, and people were pretty dirty. It can be as simple as that you're trying to educate the people about, importance of hand hygiene. So we distributed soaps for all of these people, and also gave them some information about why it's important and what infections can spread through contact. And so why is it important? Like 2 minutes in one ward, or like 3 minutes, just talk to them and give these free soaps, which are 10 rupees each. It's not even too much, and not too much time consuming. Starting from there, that's how you start always.
Okay.
Start small, and start with some initiative that you're very, very passionate about, or you like. It can be like organ donation drives or like blood donation camps. It starts with that. It never starts with, I want to go to the United Nations. It starts with small things, and everyone's mentioning, they care about what you did in the U.S. and internationally. So try to join organizations which have international affiliations or have some kind of international, like outreach, basically international outreach. So there's this medical students associations, there's CRY, Rotaract, local NGOs. It can start from local NGOs. And I was working for this yours, Youth for Road Safety, and many such small organizations, and you can start with those, and you get to know as in how you progress. So the ideal time is start early. So like you said, the most ideal time is first year, and I really believe that it should not just be for your application that you're doing it. If you're really interested in it, and some topic, like somebody mentioned that they were interested in this environmental health and all that. So whatever that is, it is one person's passion, and like somebody else mentioned, it has to be consistent in one field or which particular organization. So they know that you're focused and you know what you're doing, and they want you to be focused on one thing, that you're self-motivated and you have been able to come out with outcomes which have made an impact. So it can be impact in the local, national, or whatever that is, but that's what they're looking for at the end of the day, is what I feel. So.
All right. Thanks. So Zin, let me get back to you, and let's talk about 2018. Right now, immediate students are starting to prepare for next year's match. What is your suggestion to them? What can they do in the immediate term to get started, assuming they've all graduated? Most of the IMGs after graduation take a couple of years. So let's say that they could not do it in their colleges, in their schools. Now they have to, apply for the match in September 2017. So what can they do in the next 6 to 7 months? Any pointers, any quick hits?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So with 6 months left, right? So with 6 months left, what can they do now? How can they get started if someone hasn't started yet?
Everything you do, you have to prioritize, and you have to think about writing your CV. Okay, so your CV should include all the important components. Okay, like other than sports and year graduation, obviously, you should have research, you should have teaching, you should have helping people, and you should have communication, and you should have leadership. So ask yourself which component you are lacking and focus on that. And always think about the name, because some of the things you really work hard, but it doesn't look so good in the resume. But some of the things you don't really work, but the name sounds so big. Like if you volunteer for 2 hours a week in a Red Cross organization, it sounds so much better than me doing online consultation to students for like 4 hours a week. So always think about your resume and always pick up something that sounds big. Even if your role isn't big, a big name always makes a difference. And then always look for something that you can do online other than going physically and do something like, writing review papers or research volunteer. Looking for research now is kind of late, but let me tell you something. Your match does not start and does not end on September 15th. It is only the beginning. And then if you can start something before September 15th, you can always continue the whole application season. And as soon as you start, you can add it to your resume. Remember that. So even if you start on September 14th, you can add it to your resume, and you can tell them during the interview that, I started in September 15th. Because the time when you go to interview is going to be somewhere November, December. It's already going to be three months. So you have to plan stuff starting from August all the way to December or January so that you can tell people that I'm doing something. So hopefully, I hope you would be doing observership or something, essential or something, you research or something useful. If not, at least have some volunteer at the time so that you don't have to tell people that, I'm just attending interview or sitting on my couch and, studying for step 3. They don't buy studying as a full-time job. It is full-time job for us, but not for them. They were kind of expecting that you could study 3 hours a day and figure out 250. I don't know why, but this is how their mentality works.
Yeah, thank you. Rawali, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I want to bring you in as well for closure. So what would you recommend to students now who are going to apply September of 2017? Maybe they have not done anything. What is your take on how to get started immediately, assuming they are in their home countries or they are about to come? What can they quickly do? What are some of the things that are highly impactful but can help in the application?
So like Jin said, find your area of interest. Let's say somebody is into teaching or writing. They can always look into First Aid and try to become one of their contributors for one of the books. Another thing, they can always go into any hospital and ask for volunteering positions. Every hospital has some kind of volunteering activities going on, and you don't have to dedicate your entire week. You can only dedicate like 1 or 2 days, whatever is in your convenience. But the outcome should be that you have interest outside the book. That's what everybody wants to know about you, that you have a life outside books.
Okay.
The main focus should be to show your interviewer that you do other things outside, other than studying. And you should start right away. Yep. Don't wait for a good time or a good day. Just start right away, and there's always something going on. If you look for it, you'll find it.
Okay, thank you. And Sridevi, just to close on this. Now you have been an avid blogger. You've used online media to self-publish and promote your own brand. What is your recommendation to students who may want to do blogging, do their own stuff online? So slightly different activities, but nonetheless important. If they want to get started, how can they get started? Are there specific topics, especially when it comes to blogging and use of social media?
Right. So I've started blogging since 2009. That is like second year of medical school, and I used to have my Twitter account and everything linked as well. So because I was part of the whole magazine editorial team, every time I like to write, I like to either put it in my blog or the magazine. So coming to specifically your question, the thing is, in this time and age, it's always better to stay away from anything political, okay? Not that I write it, but then it's just safer. Your views on whatever it is, the political immigration scenario has to be kept mum. Just keep it to yourself, right? So I would suggest I would honestly suggest to do something creative, because in my blog, the reason why I started my blog is I used to love writing poems, and I wanted it all to be in one place and not to get lost. So that is why I started it. I put all my poems in there, and also I put every single article I have written in college magazine over the years into my blog. So the topics, the poems, I really cannot tell you, like it just comes to you, right? Once I visited a place and I thought about writing about it, and the other was about, lost love, whatever, because it was a competition for which I wrote and I won, and I just put that poem there. But the articles I wrote were like about my internship experience, about a very moving experience I had about an honesty of a person, and how I wish that kind of honesty is reciprocated in the world. Then there was something I did write about, my generation's overindulgence of Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and everything, the whole narcissistic thing. That's just my opinion. It's not political, which is frankly, that is what I wrote. And those were in my blog. And then I wrote about my regional festival, Onam, in my blog, which I had submitted to the Times of India, and it got published. So this was also a talking point in many of my interviews, because I was able to show them the published article in the newspaper, and they were like, this is really nice. And a couple of chief residents who interviewed me, because they were in the room, they actually pulled up my blog and sat and read 2 articles.
Wow, okay.
So I think, if you are starting a blog, my honest advice to you is like have at least 5 entries in it. My blog has around 15 over the years. So it shouldn't be like, you made a blog just for the heck of it. And because, you can see when your articles are entered, right? The older it is, the better it is.
Okay.
So I would say if you have like a blog and idea, if you write well, you should put down your thoughts and make at least 4 to 5 articles, so that you don't seem like, you just wrote it so that you can put it on your CV.
Okay. Yep. So yes. So thank you, everyone. This was very, very productive. I think this gives everyone, the upcoming students, some idea of how to get started with the volunteering activities, and no activity is too small, whether it's obviously volunteering at a hospital, in your college, helping other students, blogging, or just starting. I think that is a challenge. But all this can be very useful for your, not only the residency application and interviews, but also help you become a better professional. So thank you all. Any closing comments? Anything from any of you? We will continue
Pawan,
with these kind of panels. Yes.
Hi, Pawan. I'd just like to, just an advice, like, when in the rush to fill in your CV, I just have to request everyone to be authentic, because people can just pick you out if you're not authentic. That is why I kind of, because when they ask you specific questions, and if you flounder, they know that, you just put it in your CV to just buff it up. So whatever you're doing, put your heart and soul into it, get good experiences, and if you do not have good experience, and if it is not worthy enough to put into a CV, please do not do so. Because these are experienced people who are
very good tip. Yes, excellent tip.
These I know how people do it, and I know even we have the tendency to exaggerate whatever small thing we have done, because that is a brink of desperation. I totally understand that, but you can easily get called out. These are professionals who are interviewing you, and if you claim to be a good at something, and the moment you talk about it, it becomes very evident that, you don't know what you're talking about if you're not into
Right.
it. Just for example, blogging, just somebody follows in this idea. You blog, and then when you talk, the way you talk and the expressions you use, the vocabulary you use, it's very evident that, okay, maybe communication is not up to par rather than what is written in the CV. And the same thing, it can be easily caught. And again, the volunteering activities, unless you have like a specific experience to share, just randomly sharing that I did this, I did that, it would be better if you can gain an experience or two and keep it with you so that you can share. My only advice is that even if you are, yes, we have to start small, like everyone said, that is the only way. We all of us started, but if it is too small and too insignificant, and frankly, if you don't know how to exaggerate or sell yourself, please do not put it in the CV, because unfortunately, if that is the only point the interviewer picks on you, then you're screwed. So.
So then,
Pavan, I'd just like to leave because my team is waiting. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Sridevi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Good luck.
Bye.
Yes. So then, any closing comments?
Right. So I can understand that now it's already February 1st. So my advice to everyone is that start now. Within a week, walk into any hospital, any clinic around you, beside you, and then ask for a spot and start right now. And don't be, too picky and be like, I want this and I want that. Obviously, if you have choices, you have to prioritize that. If you don't have any, start now. Don't wait for next week, next month, or like next year, I'll do something big. Something big never comes. If you don't actively start from small, big will just never knock on your door. So be extremely hardworking and start from scramble and start from everything that you can get your hands on. I was an average student like you. My country did not have any good organizations or any activities for me to do, but I scrambled around and I was able to talk about stuff. So it makes me look like I'm something more than scores, And considering my years of graduation and my scores and everything, I was just like you. I was just like each and every one of you. I struggled a lot with visa and everything, but I made a long way. I did not have a green card anyway. So hard work alone got me where I am, and I received pre-match as well. And this is what you will get if you work hard enough, if you work as hard as me as well. Always remember that U.S. always only takes the best out of your medical school, the best out of your country. And you will be earning 2 times, 3 times more than your classmates earn, even more than your friends that go to other countries. So it means that you have to work hard 2 times, 3 times harder than your classmates to get there. So prepare to work 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day for every day starting today, and do all the studying, volunteering, research, everything at the same time, and they will see your effort and they will appreciate that. And you will be thankful when you get interviews. You will be thankful when your interviewers are very impressed with you, and you will be thankful when you get that pre-match offer out of your personality more than out of your score.
Yes, thank you very much, Zin, for a very passionate pitch for these activities. So Ravali, any closing comments from you?
I just want to add one point to what Sridevi said. Yes, it is very important to be honest and authentic in your CV. That includes what volunteering activities you do and also what your hobbies are. A lot of times I see people writing scuba diving and bungee jumping for their hobbies when they haven't even tried it. Rather, I have friends who wrote farming as their hobby, which really is. And they talk passionately about farming. They seem enthusiastic when they talk about it. So in the interview, you have to look that you have a passion for whatever your hobby is, whatever your volunteering is. You have to show that interest in your face, in your eyes. And that is what really sets you apart from the crowd.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Naren, any closing comments from you?
Yeah, so I just want to say a couple of other things which I think will also add to the discussion we're having right now. One thing is networking. The future is all about networking. As an individual, you cannot do anything. It's all a group effort. So many of the times in IMG's mentality is that, okay, I did this, so I will not share this with anyone. But I think it's a very, very negative thing to do, and it's honestly, the more you share, the more opportunities you get, the more opportunities and more growth as an individual, as well as your CV and everything happen. You can do only so much as a single person. So always try to find your same mindset of people, or even if you don't want to find the same mindset of people, come up with your own initiatives or whatever you want to do, and talk to people and ask them what they are doing, or and also share what you're doing, so that you have something to give them and something they can give you. It's always a symbiosis. So if I try to find networks where you might be fitting in well, and only when you work as a group you can achieve more and get more out of it. So I think that's one important thing that everybody misses, is that just keeping the information that you have will not help you to go further. It actually improves if you are able to discuss with someone. And I was very privileged, like I have such a wonderful group of people and networking that I have, that when I came up with this personal statement, I had many people to read my personal statement. Or when I had to finish my CV, I had so many people to talk with. I had these groups does matter, and the more information you share, the more information you're going to get. So that's something I wanted to mention at the end. So, yeah.
So thank you. That's very great. I'm very impressed with the way you guys have been sharing information, and we'd like to continue some of these panels. So stay tuned. We want to obviously record these things and share with the other students. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and hopefully this was very useful. This will be useful for some of the students who are going in for match next year. Thank you very much all, and have a good day.
Thank you, sir.